guys, so today's video is going to be all of the series that I would like to get to in the year of 2025. We are getting down to the end of 2024, and obviously I don't have time to finish every single series that is going to be on my TBR or is currently on my TBR. And I've been wanting to do this video for a while. I have like 45 minutes until I have to leave the house because I do have like a haircutting appointment. Originally it was scheduled for 1:45 and then now it got moved up to 3:45. So I would ideally like to get out of the house by a little bit after 3 because I kind of want to eat something before the appointment. So I was just going to go to Chipotle and like eat in my car. For like a half hour. So I have like 45 minutes until I have to leave the house. So I figured we would go into all the series that are on my TBR for 2025. And then I'm also going to be doing a 2025 releases video as well. I'm probably just going to do that without doing my makeup. But today, since I had some time to kill, I figured why not. And the reason why I really wanted to do this now is because one, I was thinking about it, and two, I actually just finished a series that was on my TBR for months. I just finished the Daughter of the Pirate King trilogy, and it inspired me to just do this video even faster, but also that was the first series I actually ended up reading since Carnival back in September. And yes, I did start reading some other series like the X Hex and the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, which is the Dream Harbor series. But like those don't really count because for me, what qualifies like, you know, starting a series or like not being in the middle of a series is like just ones I haven't read yet. So first and foremost, my probably two highest priority series in the year of 2025 is Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi and This Woven Kingdom by Tahereh Mafi as well. I still have not gotten to either of these series. I don't know if I'm going to go into like synopsises of all of these because it's just going to be long, so sorry. But I'm just going to talk about them and say who the author's by. If you guys like are more curious about them, you can just do your research, but for me, I'm just going to talk about them. So basically, I don't know if I really want to use this eyeshadow palette now. I don't know why I always think that there's a silver in this palette, but maybe I'll just use the taupey shade. It doesn't really matter. I'm just throwing on some eyeshadow, but anyway, I really do want to read these two series in 2025 because one, I did not get to them in 2024, and I probably put Shatter Me on a TBR probably at least twice over the course of the past few months, and I still had not gotten to it. I don't know why a series that's over like 3 books at this point is just so... Jesus fucking Siri, are you kidding me? I don't know why series that are over 3 books long, like that aren't duologies or trilogies, are just so intimidating to me at this point. But the reason why I really do want to make these series priority is because both of the new books that are coming out for these series are both coming out next year in 2025. There's going to be a new Shatter Me series called Watch Me, and I think it's like the Shatter Me Republic or something like that, and basically you would have to read all of the Shatter Me books before you read this one, and it comes out in April, and my goal was to read Shatter Me before that book comes out in April. So I made it my personal goal that I am going to read Shatter Me before February is over. I don't care like when I start it or when I get to it, it's going to be read before April. So that is one priority. And then the This Woven Kingdom trilogy, I kind of wanted to read probably towards the end of January because I kind of want to read it before Onyx Storm comes out, which is the 3rd book in Fourth Wing. And I'm going to go more into that book in my 2025 releases video. My God, how many times can I say 2025? Because book 4 in This Woven Kingdom comes out in September of 2025, and I would like to be caught up with that to read the next book in the trilogy. And I've heard, well, it's going to be more than a trilogy, and I've heard that This Woven Kingdom is even better than Shatter Me, or some people don't like it as much as Shatter Me. So, like, I feel like with Tahereh Mafi's series, they're very divided. So it is what it is. So those are definitely 2 priority series that are high on my list. The other one I've actually already started, and I'm definitely going to be continuing these in the year 2025, and that is Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. If you guys did know this, I binged all of Throne of Glass. Glassed? My God, can you speak today? Throne of Glass, you stupid fuck. Oh my God. I'm sorry. It's just so fucking frustrating sometimes that my brain works faster than my mouth. And then it's like, no, you're not going to complete the word because you're a dumbass. Like, it just makes me feel so dumb. Sorry. Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I binged the whole series back in January. And I was completely immersed, and I think that's still my Roman Empire. I adore that series so much. It's like one of my favorite series I've read of all time. So I binged ACOTAR in February, and then I put off Crescent City for quite a while, because then I went into other series that I wanted to read, like Kingdom of the Wicked, The Cruel Prince, One Dark Window, and what's the other one? Once Upon a Broken Heart. I read all of those over the course of March and April, and I also read the Inheritance Games series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. So I had read, and I also read the Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. So I had read a lot of series in March and April that I kind of just took a break from series after that. So Crescent City kept on getting pushed and pushed and pushed. But I knew I was not going to get to Crescent City as fast as, Throne of Glass and ACOTAR. But I actually am going to be listening to all of the audiobooks of Crescent City. I kind of figured that was going to be the best way in order for me to read these books, because they are freaking long. They're like over 800 pages each. And I feel like, I don't know, I really enjoy like listening to like longer audiobooks than reading long books. Like physically reading them, because what I was going to do was probably purchase them all on Kindle, because I was not going to read these books physically. It's just too much. There's too much information, and I feel like I would probably get confused half of the time. So I was going to probably tandem listen to and read it on my Kindle at the same time. But I actually already started the audiobook of the first book. I forget what the first book is called. It doesn't really matter. It's the Crescent series trilogy by Sarah J. Maas. I started it, and I am a few chapters in. And so far I am kind of enjoying it, but I don't know. It's kind of my first urban fantasy series. But so far it's pretty interesting. I'm definitely not bored. I'm definitely very interested in where this is going to go. But it's very different from Throne of Glass and ACOTAR, but I'm definitely intrigued, so I'm definitely going to be listening to books 2 and 3 throughout, like January and February of 2025, and I'll probably end up finishing that series and listening to them probably by March. So that will be another series done, and I will feel so good about finishing that series, because that series is huge, because again, it's so long. But then I ended up listening to the audiobook of Lights Out by Navissa Allen, I believe her name is. because I feel like that's like the book of the moment right now, and I kind of wanted to dive into dark romance a little bit. But that's not the point of this video, but I just wanted to say, like, I took a pause listening to Crescent City, and I was listening to Lights Out, and I'm almost done with it. I only have like an hour left, but I paused it so I could film this video. So the other series that is pretty high on my priority list, but also like, I don't know when the hell I'm going to get to it, is Red Queen. And I think the author, I have to look at the author's name. It's literally right next to me, so it's not like it would be an effort to grab it so I could see who the hell the author's name is. And I was going to read this series after I finished ACOTAR because... Oh, and then I ended up going into Divine Rivals after I finished ACOTAR, so that's why I didn't get to Red Queen. And then, like I said, I read Cruel Prince, Kingdom of the Wicked, Throne of the Fallen, One Dark Window, Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Inheritance Game. So those were all, and Once Upon a Broken Heart. So I had read like 6 series after ACOTAR. So I was still reading a lot of series that I really wanted to read because they were very popular. And, you know, I didn't want to miss out. I think her name's Victoria Aveyard. So this is the first book. I have all of them. And, I had just seen very, very, very mixed reviews about it. And that's why I hadn't really made it high on my priority list, because a lot of people were like, it's not really that good. Or a lot of people seem to enjoy the first book, and then after the first book, they say the series is just not very good after that. So I'm not really sure when I'm going to get to it, because I feel like it's not really high on my priority list. So we'll see when I get to it. It is going to be one of my goals in 2025 to get to it at some point, but it's not really that high, but it would be a series that I would really like to get to in 2025. And then the other one is not a fantasy series, but for some reason, I kept on pushing off this series for so long, and oh my god, I just bent the shit out of this book. What the hell? Oh my god, how did you do that? That didn't happen to the other books. Oh my god, how did you do that? I like totally damaged the edges, but it's not like I'm ever going to give these books away, because I'm definitely not selling these. But A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon, I put this on my TBR probably 3 times. And I said I was going to read this in the month of October, because I thought this would be such a good series for Halloween. It's by Sarah Hawley. And for some reason, I still have not gotten to this trilogy yet. I don't know why. Like, nothing has inspired me to pick it up. But I've heard that these are so much fun. So I need to get to them at some point. So that is another series that I would like to get to in 2025. Let me just grab my sponge so we can talk about the rest. Okay. So next up is Dance of Thieves. And I can't remember the author's name. I'm sorry, but the series is called Dance of Thieves. Well, the 2 books are called Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves. And this is a duology. And I've been putting off this duology for so long, I literally don't know why. There's also a previous series that comes before it, but most people say you don't have to read the first trilogy in order to read Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves. I am not going to read that. I'd rather just get to Dance of Thieves. I think her name is Mary E. Pearson. I think that's her name. It's at least Mary Pearson. If I didn't get the middle initial right, it doesn't really matter. The previous series is called Kiss of Deception. And basically, this is like a fantasy, like kind of a romantasy. But I don't think it's as high stakes as other romantasy series that I've read. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I really would like to get to that series as well in 2025. And then the next one, I probably am going to read this month. But if I don't read it this month, I'm still going to put it on my 2025 TBR. But I'm most likely going to read it this month. And that is Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. For some reason, I put off this duology for so long, and I wanted to talk about both of these together because if you guys did not know, because you would pretty much be living under a rock if you didn't know this series existed, because this series is huge. And Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom are basically spin-offs of the Shadow and Bone trilogy, which is on Netflix. It has a whole, following, but I've heard that Shadow and Bone is not as good as Six of Crows, and also you do not have to read Shadow and Bone in order to go into Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. You could just read those as a duology, because I've heard they're like 10 times better, and so many people love them that I really just want to read them before this year is over. I was originally going to read Belladonna by Adeline Grace, which was the other series I wanted to read before the year is over, but I don't know if I'm going to have time to read both, because I'm also finishing some other series that the books came out like this past October or November, like Games Untold by Jennifer Lynn Barnes is the next book in the Inheritance Games series that I'm going to read, and also... what's the other one? Like The Wedding Witch, which came out for the X-Hex series. And Wisteria also came out this year for Belladonna. So I wanted to read that so I could have another 2024 release under my belt. So I wanted to mention these because whichever ones I don't get to will be moved to 2025, and they will most likely be read in January because they are going to be the most priority reads that I have. And then next up is the Night of the Witch duology and the Fate of Magic. I believe this is just a duology. I really wanted to get to this duology in October because, again, it was like about witches and it was kind of like a fantasy duology that sounded really, really good. I don't remember who the author's name is. I will look it up in a minute. But I really wanted to read that, but unfortunately I did not get to it this year. I don't even know when I'm going to get to it. Maybe I'll get to it next October, but honestly, like for me, I don't like when series sit on my TBR for too long. It just like bothers me immensely. So hopefully I will get to those soon. And then I also have the Rage of Dragons series by Evan Winter, and there are 2 books out. And the 3rd book does come out in 2025. I don't even know if that's on my 2025 releases. I feel like I'm adding like 2025 releases to my TBR literally every day. That I feel like there's already almost 30 plus books that I am going to be reading in 2025 because they're all ones I'm really looking forward to, and I'm gonna put them on my TBR as like high priority. But yeah, I really wanted to read that. I think I said it's by Evan Winter. I wanted to read that probably in January, but I'm not sure because I want to read Shatter Me and This Woven Kingdom. I don't know when I'm going to get to those, but I would like to read those over the course of winter of 2025 still. So hopefully I'll be able to. And then the next one is the Shadow of the Gods trilogy by John Gwynne. That 3rd book also came out this year. It came out in October, and that's not the powder that I want to use. And a lot of people were waiting for that 3rd book because I think the 2nd book had came out I think at the end of 2022, so they were waiting for like a good 2 years, and I really wanted to get to that too, but unfortunately I didn't. I knew I was not going to have time for it, but I still picked up all 3 books because I'm a psychopath, but I just heard they're so good. And then the last 2 series that are on that shelf, and then I have 1 or 2 in my drawer, and then I want to talk about some Kindle series that I would like to binge next year. There's like 3 or 4 high priority ones that I would like to get to on Kindle. But the next one is The Shadows Between Us and the Darkness Within Us by Trisha Levenseller. But since I just finished her trilogy, which is Daughter of the Pirate King, she also wrote that. I'm probably not going to get to either of those in 2024. But those are super, super popular YA books that have been on the New York Times best-selling list for like weeks. So I really wanted to see what all the hype is about. And plus they're super, super short, and they would take, again, Daughter of the Pirate King took like no time to read. But since that series was on my TBR way longer and I kept on pushing it, I wanted to read that first because I haven't put The Shadows Between Us on a TBR yet. But I really would like to get to that in 2025 because I know that would take me like no time at all. So I probably will just bang out that duology pretty early in the year, most likely. And then the last one on the shelf is the Infernal Devices trilogy by Cassandra Clare. I have been dying to get to Cassandra Clare because one of my oh my god, words, Caitlin, Jesus. One of the booktubers that I watch, I believe her name is Sarah something. I can't remember her last name at the current moment, but I really enjoy her channel. Like, it's super cozy vibes, and I love the way she talks. It's just so relaxing. She raves about Cassandra Clare. She's like one of her favorite authors. And she had said, because I commented on one of her videos, she said, if you want to start with Cassandra Clare, start with the Infernal Devices series. So I purchased all three, and I still have not gotten to them yet. But I would really like to get to Cassandra Clare in 2025. And every time I hear about Infernal Devices, it sounds so freaking good and interesting that I want to get to it so badly. Maybe I will prioritize it in winter of 2025. I love how I say that when we have like 2 winters during the year. I mean, winter is for January and February and most of March each year. So it is winter of 2025. So hopefully I will get to that. And then the last 2 series that I have physically are Red Rising by Pierce Brown. Now, I only have the first 3 books because I would like to read those before I purchase the rest of the series because I want to see how, because I think originally it was supposed to be a trilogy because it does say part of the Red Rising trilogy for like books 2 and 3. But then I think it became like so incredibly popular and people love that series, and that's like one of like people's favorite series of all time. That I think that he expanded it, and now it's like a 6-book series. But also, I'm probably not going to binge that series. It's probably going to be a series that I read over the course of a year. It would be a series that I'm in the middle of, which is okay, because most people say it's like pretty heavy, and you kind of need to take breaks in between. So we will see when I get to it. But also, Book 7, because there's 6 books right now that are supposed to be phenomenal. Book 7 comes out, I believe, in September or October of 2025. So I really would like to be caught up to this series before it comes out. So I will probably use the course of 2025 to see if I'm going to continue it or not. And then the other series, which I know you guys are probably going to yell at me that probably the only person on the freaking planet that has not read The Hunger Games, okay? By Suzanne Collins. I mean, hello, The Hunger Games. How do you not know about The Hunger Games? I read Harry Potter growing up, but I never read The Hunger Games. And my mom, like, constantly tried to get me to read The Hunger Games because my sister read it, my brother read it, my mom read it, and I was the only one that didn't. Because, again, when I was growing up, I didn't really enjoy reading, and now I'm like freaking obsessed with reading. It takes up like every moment of my entire existence at this point. And for some reason, I just never wanted to pick it up and read it because, again, I wasn't really a reader. I read Harry Potter because my mom and my brother and my sister like were dying to talk to me about it. So I really do need to read The Hunger Games, and I would like to make The Hunger Games a priority before March of 2025 because the new Hunger Games prequel is coming out in March of 2025. But then I would have to read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes as well, and people said that that one was not very good. But I'm still interested in reading it or at least watching the movie because I still haven't seen the movie. And after I read The Hunger Games, I would like to coincide with watching the movies as well again. Because then I can see like how much that was in the book, that wasn't in the movie. But also people say that the Hunger Games series is like one of one of the best movie translations of all time for books that became movies besides like Lord of the Rings, which that brings me to Lord of the Rings, which I still have not read either, but I've watched all the movies like countless times, and people say Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. My God. This is how you can tell I haven't filmed in a while, because like literally I'm dumb as hell today. By J.R.R. Tolkien. I would really, really like to get to that next year. I don't know when though. It's probably not going to be until like December 2025. Okay, we're not going to say winter. We're going to say December. So we will see. And then now I'm going to talk about a few Kindle series that I would like to get to. The first one is the Book of Azrael. I have to look up the author's name. I'm sorry. And I have to look up the author's name for that other series that I just talked about. Let me just bring it up on Goodreads. Let me just see. Book of Azrael. Amber V. Nicole, and it's the God and Monsters series. There's 3 books out currently. The 4th book comes out in August of 2025. So that would only be 3 books before the next book comes out. So I would like to be caught up with that series before the next book comes out. I think I could do that. That book I actually really, or that series I would have liked to read before 2024 was over, but clearly I didn't get to it. But I haven't really binged a series on Kindle yet, and I really would love to. So hopefully I can get to that next year as well. And then the next one is Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. Everybody raves about this series. And there are 3 books out currently. And it's called the Kindred's Curse Saga. Oh my fucking God. And there, again, there's 3 books out currently. The 4th book is called Burn of the Everflame. I, again, am going to be covering these in my 2025 releases video. And that comes out, there is no release date for it yet. It was originally supposed to come out, I think, last month, but then it got pushed back. But a lot of people really love that series, so I'd really like to get to it in 2025 so I can be caught up and then I can read Burn. So I really would love to read that. And then the other one, I don't know if I'm intrigued enough to read Zodiac Academy. And it's by Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. And the first book is called The Awakening. Now, people say the first book is incredibly hard to get through. And they say like the first book is literally probably the worst book in the series. And for me, because a lot of people say the first book is very triggering, it's a bully kind of, it's not even a bully romance. It's just like straight up bullying. There's a lot of sexual and physical abuse in it. And people said it's like really, really hard to get through the first one, but I feel like not enough people really stress how difficult that book is actually to get through. And for me, I'm not really inspired. Oh, I forgot one. Actually, 2 series on my shelf. I need to talk about those really quick because those are pretty much going to be the last 2 that I talk about. People said that it's incredibly triggering, that I don't know if I'm going to end up getting to this series. And also, there's so many fucking books. There's 9 books in this series. So I don't really know. I don't know if Zodiac Academy is really high on my priority list next year. All the other series that I talked about, I really do want to read in 2025, except for Zodiac Academy. So I'm not really that sure, but I still wanted to mention it. And then the other 2 that I didn't mention before, there is the Assassin's Apprentice trilogy by Robin Hobb. Now, for this trilogy, I believe there is a lot more books in this universe, but I think the Assassin's Apprentice trilogy is just 3 books, obviously. And then there are other books, I believe, that are set in the same universe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I only own the Assassin's Apprentice trilogy because it was kind of making a comeback online and social media and TikTok and all of that people were talking about it again. That got me really intrigued to read it. And also Booked and Busy has talked about it, and she has loved the series in the past. She still recommends it, and she still recommends most of Robin Hobb's books, but she also says those books are a little bit triggering. But I still really want to read them. And then the other one is just a duology, which I probably will get to in 2025. And that is The Daughter of the Moon Goddess. And it's by Su Lin Tan and Curry Huang. Curry Huang is the illustrator. It's only one author. And I would like to read that as well. I picked up those books quite a few months ago. And I did dive into some Asian fantasy this year, probably not as much as I would have liked to. I think I only read 4 Asian fantasy books, but I would love to read more, and I've heard that duology is really, really good. And then the author of The Night of the Witch, and then I'm gonna have to go because I need to put my lippy on and stuff. Her name is Sarah Rosh and Beth Revis. Oh my God. Why did I say Davis? She is, it's like a author duo, like Zodiac Academy. I would also like to read A Kiss of Iron by Claire Sage or Claire Sog. I guess her name is Claire. Oh my God. Caitlin, Jesus. That is also on Kindle. Oh my God, can I spell? A Kiss of Iron. Her name is... Oh my God. Why is the author's name covered by the %? Claire Sager. I would like to read that as well because the 3rd book actually comes out on the very last day of December. It comes out on December 31st of 2024, but I didn't read the first 2 books, so I am not ready to read that one, but it's sitting on my Kindle. And then the other one is A Touch of Gold and Madness. I also did not get to that either. There's only 1 book so far, and then there's just a prequel, which actually just came out. You're supposed to read the first book first before you read the prequel, and it's by K.L. DeVore. It did sound really, really interesting in order to read that, so I would really like to get to that in 2025. And then I think the last 2 that I'm going to talk about is Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. I did purchase the trilogy back in like probably, I don't even know, maybe like August or September because the deal was like $24 for all 3 books. So I thought that was pretty good. And these were books I just didn't really need to own, but I also have heard pretty mixed reviews on the first book that have made people not really continue it. But I don't know, I just feel like this series is going to take me like no time, because each book is like 4 or 5 hours, so it's not even that long. So I'm thinking about getting to it at some point. We will see. And then the last one that I'm going to end this on, because I think those are all the priority series that I would like to read in 2025, is the Naturals series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Oh, there is one more that I don't even own that I'm probably going to mention just really quick. Since I read the Inheritance Games series in 2024, I did not have time to get to both series. But I would really like to read the Naturals series in 2025. I've heard that the Naturals series is even better than the Inheritance Games, but I feel like the Inheritance Games is a lot more popular. And also the Inheritance Games is supposed to get a show adaptation at some point, which would be amazing, because I could see, and probably even the Naturals, I could see as TV shows. Like, that would be so freaking good. Because Jennifer Lynn Barnes is just such an easy author to read and to get into. So I would be incredibly excited for that. And then the other one, did I already forget what it was called? I also never got to Heaven Breaker this year, which kind of pissed me off because I was hoping to get to it, but I didn't. The Guild series by Raven Kennedy, I do want to read at some point as well. It's a 6-book series though. And all of it is on Kindle Unlimited. And it's like a King Midas retelling. And I really want to get to them. But again, it is a lot of books. And then the other one is A Shadow in the Embers, I believe it's called. It's like a 4-book series. And let me just pull up the author, and then I have to go. Her name is A Shadow. Oh my god. A Shadow in the Ember. No, that is not the right one. But I would like to read From Blood and Ash and the Shadow of the Ember series by Jennifer L. Armentrout, because everybody talks about From Blood and Ash, but there's a lot of books. And also A Court This Cruel and Lovely by Stasia Stark. Those are 4 books. And The Trial of the Sun Queen. I forgot how many series that I have on Kindle that I just don't have downloaded right now. What is it called? Shadow in the... Why can't I remember the name? Or maybe it's... I cannot remember the name of the series right now. I'm going to have to look it up later because I have to go because I need to leave. But yeah, those are a lot of series that I want to read in 2024. So we'll probably just wrap up this video when I get back because I need to go because I'm hungry and I need to leave now in order to get to my appointment. So bye. Okay guys, so I'm back from getting my hair cut and I really do love how she got my hair. I think it looks great. Took a lot of hair off because honestly my hair was just driving me crazy. So yeah, I think it looks amazing. It's just so bouncy and I love it. I think it looks great. So the series that I was going to talk about that I couldn't remember the name of for some reason, because I literally picked this book up and put it down like literally every time I go to Barnes & Noble with my friends. Then I'm like, I'm going to get it this time. I'm like, no, I'm not, because I have other series that I need to read. But it's called An Ember in the Ashes by Sabah Tahir. A lot of people are reading this series right now, even though it's like quite old. It's from like 2016. Like that's when the first book came out. So it's actually like almost 10 years old at this point. But a lot of people say that this series is so good. There's 4 books right now. I think that's the end of it. I don't think there's going to be any more books for it because she just came out with a prequel series which is called Air, and that came out October 1st of this year. And then the second one, I'm not really sure when it's supposed to come out. Like, it doesn't say there's any, just say an untitled An Ember in the Ashes graphic novel prequel number 3. But it doesn't say anything about number 2. So, but literally I have to read the book in order to, or read the series in order to read Air, because it's kind of like similar to A Touch of Golden Madness, where you have to read the series first in order to read the prequels. Like sometimes, which I don't understand, like why prequels work like that sometimes. It's like, when do you think you need to read the prequel first? But they say that it does spoil future things and like future books like A Touch of Golden Madness, and I think this series too. So yeah, that's going to be on my TBR, and it's been on my TBR for quite a while. I don't think there's anything else that are like super high priority for me in 2025. The only other one, I really want to read The Foxhole Court by Nora Sakovic. Booked and Busy like literally raved about this series this year, and that was one of her other 5-star series. And basically all of the books are free on Kindle Unlimited. So the first book, like I said, is called The Foxhole Court. I think it's like a mafia fantasy kind of series, which I think is so interesting. I think it has some type of fantasy element to it. I'm not really sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I kind of really want to read those as well. But again, like it's going to be like what is the highest priority. Also, this series I've been wanting to read for a long time, and I feel like this series is getting pretty popular again, and that is Filthy Rich Vampire by Geneva Lee. This is also free on Kindle Unlimited, and they have all the books on Kindle Unlimited, and there are only 4 books. But I feel like, I don't know, that this would be like a good, like, rich billionaire kind of series that I would kind of like, because it's a vampire, and I feel like, I don't know if the billionaire trope is really for me, but if you add a vampire to it, because vampires have like centuries old kind of money, then I'm like here for it. But like I don't know about the billionaire trope like in Wild Love. I tried to read that and I didn't really love it. I thought the dialogue was like really cheesy. It was definitely better than freaking It Happened One Summer, though, because that book was literally, like, one of the worst books I've ever read in my life. I gave them away because I felt like Tessa Bailey was just not going to be for me, and I feel like more people feel like that. The more books that people read from Tessa Bailey, the more so they're like, I don't think her books are that good. I don't even know why they're so extremely popular as they are, because I don't think they're that great. And then also the second book for this comes out next year, but I would like to read this first book. There is also a prequel series to this as well, but one of the YouTubers that I watch, Monica Fortner, she said that you don't really have to read Serpent and Dove before you read this series, and that is The Scarlet Veil by Shelby Mahurin. She said that she started this as well. She has not finished it. But this book is just so beautiful. It's just such a pretty book, and I love how it's like raised print and everything. But yeah, this is the Serpent and Dove trilogy, which is very popular. So most people say you have to read the trilogy before you read this, but I picked this up not even knowing that there was a prequel trilogy before this, because I just thought this sounded so interesting and I thought it looked so good. It's basically like a vampire romantasy as well. But she said that she kind of got a little bit burnt out by Serpent and Dove, and then she told me that honestly, I don't really think you need to read the trilogy first in order to read this. I think you could go into this and be just fine, because she said it's just like from another character's perspective, and it doesn't really like spoil anything, like kind of similar to like Caraval and Once Upon a Broken Heart. Like I told her, because she asked me, do I have to read Caraval before Once Upon a Broken Heart? But I'm going to talk about the second book in this in my 2025 releases. But it comes out, I think, not until like later in the year next year. I think it's like fallish. So I have like quite a few months to read this. So I do want to read that eventually. Oh, and then of course, how did I forget? Neon Gods by Katie Robert. I actually own the first 3 books, but I didn't realize that, I think that they had come out on, they're not on Kindle Unlimited anymore. They were on Kindle Unlimited for like a little while. But now, unfortunately, they're not. So I guess it's a good thing that I have it. And these are kind of like a little bit more of darker romance as well. Like I said, I do want to get into some more darker romance next year because, like I said, I'm about to finish Lights Out, the audiobook, and I'm really enjoying it. But this one is about, like gods, like, Greek gods. And it's about Persephone and Hades, and I just really also want to read not just, it's supposed to be an 8-book series, and I believe it's only, oh. What do you know? The 8th book comes out in April. Another freaking book to add to my 2025 releases, but that means I would have to read 7 books before it comes out. So I feel like for me, I might be in the middle of a couple of series by the time some of these books actually come out, because what I was going to do is I was just going to read the 3 books that I own, and then I was going to see, whether or not I was going to pick up the rest of them after that. Because like I said, I picked up Neon Gods, Electric Idol, and Wicked Beauty, and I still haven't read any of them. I did put Neon Gods on one of my TBRs, but I ended up never getting to it. But yeah. So again, another 2025 release. But I want to like read more Greek god and like Roman kind of mythology, goddess, god kind of books, like fantasy books, and also more dark romance. So like it's kind of the perfect mix. People say it's not really that dark, so that's why I will be fine reading those, I'm pretty sure. Also, I really want to read the Hurricane Wars, and the second book literally comes out, I believe, tomorrow, so I also want to add that as well. And I think that is pretty much it when it comes to the series that I want to prioritize in 2025. Oh, there's also Blood of Hercules, Curious Tides, and House of the Cerulean Sea. Let me just grab those really quick. But these only have like 2 books out so far. So they're not really, or there's the second one of Blood of Hercules doesn't come out until next year. And this is also another series. I'm just going to cover these really quick. Actually, there's like, oh my god, there's like 6 more I want to talk about. Hold the phone. I literally just discovered like 6 more books on my TBR cart that I would like to get to in 2025. Let's talk about this one first. So there's also the Done and Dusted Cowboy Romance series by Lila Sage. I only have the first book. And honestly, I kind of really want to get to this very soon. I'm probably going to read this most likely in January. These are like the quickest, fastest like reads that you could possibly, like I probably could binge this in a day because the font is huge and it's probably, but I'm like trying to read some of this dialogue and it looks pretty cringy, but a lot of people rave about this. And also Lost and Lassoed. I think I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I did not get to this book and Swift and Saddled, so I was not able to read Lost and Lassoed, but that came out in November. And everybody talks about like how good these are, so I would like to get to these next year. I don't know if I'm going to wait until like the spring though to read these, or maybe I'll just read the first one and then I'll see when I want to continue it, but I'm definitely going to read the first book next year. And then the next one, which I wanted to prioritize in 2024, but I ended up not getting to it. But also, this is a 4-book series, but everybody raves about how amazing this series is, and that is My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. I found the first book for like $6 at my bookstore, so I got it for pretty cheap. And I would like to get to this at some point, but again, like, these are probably series that I probably won't binge and continue unless I'm like absolutely obsessed with them. So this is another one. I definitely do want to read this in 2025. And then the next one is one that has been sitting in my room for so long. And this was another one that was recommended to me by one of my friends. But I do want to do 2 reading vlogs next year of books that were recommended to me by my boyfriend that he wants me to read, and then books that were recommended to me by one of my friends. So I might just do a reading vlog of books that people have recommended me, or books that, you know, that people I know have recommended to me. And this one is called Splintered by A.G. Howard, and this one is I think it's a Alice in Wonderland retelling. And you know what's crazy is that I have barely read retellings of like Disney tales or like Grimm tales and stuff. I don't know how the hell I haven't gotten to them, because you guys know how much I love Disney and love like the Grimm tales and everything. So one of my friends recommended this to me, and this one is a 4-book series. I only own the first one. But this is one, again, that, like, I wouldn't be too upset about if I didn't continue it. But I also have The Crimson Crown, and I also have Heartless that I would like to read at some point. And those are both, like, Queen of Hearts retellings. And then I also, which are all, like, Alice in Wonderland based, which is so funny that all of them are literally Alice in Wonderland. And then I have The House of the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I am dying to get to more T.J. Klune books. I finally read my first T.J. Klune book in November, and I absolutely loved it. I read Under the Whispering Door, and I adored it. So this is just a duology right now, because the second book just came out, I believe, in like September or October, and it's called Somewhere Beyond the Sea. And in Under the Whispering Door, they were already hinting some things about House of the Cerulean Sea, like, in that book. And some people say that this one is even better than Under the Whispering Door, but I gave Under the Whispering Door 6 stars. I loved that book literally so much that I am dying to go into more of his books, and I think I do want to read his entire backlist. But I'm definitely going to start with this duology and just read both of these, but I'm definitely going to be reading these next year, because I absolutely adore his writing. And then next up, which this book does come out later in the year next year, that is the second book. The first one is called Blood of Hercules by Jasmine Moss. But also, again, these are just continuing series, like, if the second book isn't out yet, but I wanted to cover this because it's still going to be a series that I'm going to be continuing. So this one basically is a female Hercules, and I just picked this up recently. I mean, this cover is amazing. I love, like, the raised text and everything. I love, like, the raised writing. So I really do want to get to this. This just came out, I believe, a few months ago in 2024. So it's a pretty recent release still, but I'm probably not going to get to it this year. But I would definitely like to read it before the second book comes out. The second book doesn't even come out until, I think, like September or August or September of next year. So it's pretty late. So I should have time to get to this. And then the last one, which actually this book just came out like last month. But honestly, I'm probably not going to read the second book until it comes out in paperback, because the first one is so pretty. And that one is Curious Tides by Pascal Lascille. Sorry if I'm butchering that. Me and my friend picked this up because we want to read it together. She also picked up The Night of the Witch, and those are like 2 books we really want to get to. And they both have like these beautiful like moon phase sprayed edges, like both of those books. Look at how pretty it is. And I kind of want to wait till the paperback comes out in this one, just so I can have like the beautiful sprayed edges from Barnes & Noble. Because it only came out in hardcover, and the hardcover second book is like a chonker. But that just came out, I believe, like in October. So it's not like it came out that long ago. So these are some more like books / series that I would like to get to in 2025. But we already have such a big TBR for 2025. So I'm not trying to overwhelm myself. Like I said, I'm just trying to read the books that I want to read this month, and then we will see what we get to. And I will cover all of the books that are coming out in 2025 that I'm so excited for in my next video. So I hope you guys enjoyed. So please like and subscribe. Follow me on my Instagram at CBW819 and check out my Poshmark at the same handle. I'm not going to mention every single continuation of series if they're coming out in 2025. I just wanted to mention these because we are waiting for those books, but also I'm going to mention a lot of continuations of series for books that are coming out in 2025 that I'm waiting for, like Fearless, which is the third book in the Powerless trilogy, the second book in the Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. There's just like a lot of continuations of series that I'm waiting for in 2025, so we will cover all of those. Did I say my whole outro? Please like and subscribe. Follow me on my Instagram at CBW819 and check out my Poshmark at the same handle, Poshmark. And I hope you guys have a great day, and let me know what your series TBR is and what you would like to prioritize in 2025. Do you really care, or are you just going to go with the flow? Are you going to mood read next year, or do you have like some series that you wished you would have gotten to this year but you just didn't have the time? Because even though reading is like my favorite thing in my whole life, it is extremely time consuming. So we have to like figure out like when we have the time, and when we do make the time, it's like the best time ever. So, and also look at this inside poster or art in Curious Tides. Isn't this beautiful? And I think they might have some in like the middle. Oh my god, this is such a beautiful book. There's none on the back, but yeah, the second book came out recently. So yeah, let me know. I'm very, very curious. And yeah, just like this, I'm a curious tide apparently. So yeah, that's it. Bye. Sorry, of course there's one other one that I forgot to mention, and that is Richard Osman's The Thursday Murder Club series. I read the first book back in November, and this again is a series that I'm not like too upset if I don't continue right away, but the second book is on my TBR for this month, and I would like to continue the series into 2025, and then that means I only have 2 other ones to read, because actually the 5th book in the series comes out in September of 2025, so I would like to be caught up with this, and then since if I read this one, then I will already be halfway through, and then I'll only have 2 other books. So this is a series that is not going to take me very long. I really, really loved the first one, and I would like to continue it into 2025. So yeah, that is it. Bye!
Hey, so hey there, guys. So I just wanted to let you guys know, of course, there were a couple of series that I forgot to mention in my video. I'm like, there's no other series I want to talk about, but there are. None that I've picked up recently, so that's good. Because I don't think I'm going to pick up any more physical books. I really do need to just concentrate on the series that I have. I was getting a little bit overwhelmed by it, but we have to read what we own first before we buy anything else. So the next series that I forgot to talk about was Shady Hollow by Junu Black, and I believe there's about 5 books in this series, and there's like little novellas. But I think it's now possibly complete. And of course, the 5th book that came out was Summer's End, was a 2025 release. My God, Caitlin, 2024 release. And I hadn't been able to get to it because I hadn't read any of the other previous books. Because again, there's a lot of series that I ended up reading. I don't know if I said in that video, because I did end up binging the Daughter of Pirate King trilogy, like I said before, but I also ended up binging the Belladonna trilogy, like 2 weeks ago, because I ended up getting, like, really hooked on that too. So I did end up getting to 2 trilogies this month still, so that was pretty good. So there's the Shady Hollow series. And there's also the Legacy book series. And this is kind of like a dark um, dark romance. Like, I've heard these books are pretty dark, but I don't know, I kind of want to get to them. And there's 3 books in the series. The third book also came out in 2024, did not end up getting to it. And it's The Reign of Shadows and Endings is the first book, and then The Storm of Secrets and Sorrow. I don't have a screenshot of the third book, but they're all on Kindle Unlimited, and I would like to get to those at some point next year. I've just been kind of wanting to get to some like darker books. And then the next one that I forgot to mention in my video as well is A Dawn of Onyx by Kate Golden, and it's like a trilogy. Also the third book had come out in 2024 and I had not gotten to it either, but I think I'm going to pick up this trilogy if I get Barnes and Noble gift cards for Christmas from my friends. I am going to pick up this trilogy because I've been wanting to read it for a while. It's kind of like a gothic romantasy, I guess similar to, I know it's a gothic fantasy, but I think it's romantasy. So it's like kind of similar to like Belladonna. And I just, again, want to get into like some darker gothic fantasy. Like if there's anything like with fantasy in it and it's darker, like sign me up. I'm like so excited for it. And then the other one, I also forgot to talk about Trail of the Sun Queen by Nisha J. Tully. I forgot to talk about that. So I do kind of want to get to that series, but it's not high priority because people said it's not that. I mean, it's like not like a series you'll be like obsessed with. I think they're just like short, bingeable reads that like, they're just kind of like, they're just fun and fast paced, but like I haven't really seen anybody like rave about them, so I don't know if I'm gonna get to those. I might not read those anyway, but we'll see. So there's also the Legend of Thesmar series, and it's by Helen I cannot say her last name, Shehurer. I'm probably saying that totally wrong. And the first book is called Blood and Steel. There are 4 books in the series. I don't have a picture of the other ones. I've also heard that this series kind of goes downhill a little bit, so I'm not really sure about that. Sorry, my hand is bothering me. And then the other one is, I'm not sure, I guess this series is, it's called, well, the first book is called The City of Gods and Monsters by Kayla Edwards, and I've heard this is kind of like a urban fantasy kind of series. Not sure if I'm going to get to it. I don't know if urban fantasy is really my cup of tea because, like I said, I am still in the middle of listening to Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas, the first book. But I don't know, I'm just like not super into it. I'm not really sure yet, but we'll see if we get to that too. I think those are mostly the series that I forgot to mention. I don't think there's anything else, and if there's ones that I forgot, it's not the end of the world. I think I talked about the Demon Witch Guide series. I really do want to prioritize those in 2025. Probably just gonna binge those all in one week because I'm sure they're super easy to finish. And like I said, I just want to get through most of my physical TBR in 2025, but I am also going to be coming out with a 2025 release video, obviously. Basically, all the books that I want to read in 2025, with the exception of like probably the Neon Gods series, because I have like an itch. I am most likely not going to be getting to all of those books in 2025, but I do want to try and read the 3 books that I own in the series because I own them, and I still haven't touched them and read them. So it depends on how much I like those books. In order to continue the series, I might just read it like gradually, one by one. But my 2025 new release TBR is so long because there's so many 2025 releases that I want to get to. And you best believe I'm going to be reading them. Like, we have the second book in Phantasma. Dying to read that. We have Onyx Storm, of course. Dying to read that. We have Abby Jimenez's new release. Dying to read that. Say You'll Remember Me. And we also have the third book in the Perilous trilogy, Fearless. So excited to read that. There's just like so many, but there's also going to be a lot of series that I'm either going to be catching up with because I've been waiting for the second book. So excited for those. Or I'm also going to be completing some series like A Fate Inked in Blood. The second book comes out in May. Cannot wait for that either. But it's only a duology, so I'm going to be completing that series. Like I said, I'll be completing the Perilous trilogy. I'll also be completing the Assistant to the Villain trilogy because the third book in that comes out in August next year. And again, the third book in Fourth Wing, of course, and the second book in Phantasma. But yeah, just super excited for a lot of anticipated releases. The second book in Quicksilver comes out in fall of next year. It's just, there's going to be a lot of books that I'm looking forward to, and I'm literally going to eat them up. And usually for me, the best way for me to keep up with new releases is to read them as soon as they come out. So, yeah. But like in February, there's not many new releases that I'm looking forward to. In March, there's a bit more. In January, there's like 4. So, but in January, I am going to be reading Six of Crows, because I think I said previously in this video that I was going to be getting to it in December, and no. Because I ended up reading Belladonna, and I think that when I was filming that Get Ready With Me, I'm not sure what I was reading, but maybe I had just finished the Daughter of the Pirate King trilogy, or maybe I had, no, I think I had finished that, but I think I had started the Belladonna series right after that, because I had gotten my hair cut, and then I think a couple days later I got my nails done, and then I started the Belladonna trilogy, well, the first book at the nail salon, and then I was fucking hooked, because it's on Kindle Unlimited, so I usually always read at the nail salon, like 99% of the time I'm always bringing my Kindle with me, because, you know, you can't really talk to them sometimes because they don't understand what you're saying. It's just, that's just how it is. I would like to talk to them, but, you know, we just don't understand each other, and that's fine. I'm like, I just have more reading time. But I started that, and I loved it so much that I just binged it, so. And also, one other one that I actually own that should be super easy to get to is the Next of Kin duology by Hannah Boehm Young. I read Out on a Limb this year, absolutely completely fell in love with it, and I fell in love with her writing, and I feel like she has the potential to become one of my favorite romance authors besides like Abby Jimenez. So I do really want to read those 2 books next year, because again, I only ended up reading Out on a Limb. And also, since I've been working on reading Catherine Center's entire backlist, I did end up reading 4 of her books this year. I do also want to read more Ellie Hazelwood books next year, because I ended up getting 3 of them this year, which is crazy. So yeah. And also, books 4 and 5 in the Light Lark series come out next year. And also, the new Crimes of Nexia book, because that just got announced, and it comes out in my birthday month. I didn't talk about that in my 2025 releases yet by the time you see this video, but I have to film the rest of that video too. But yeah, just like so excited for all these books. but I also really do want to work on the series that I own before I start any other new series, or I'm just going to be continuing series when they come out in 2025, or finishing some series, which would be so satisfying. So yeah, that is it. Goodbye. Okay, so hey guys, so don't believe anything that I say when I say this is the end and I don't have any more series to talk about. I have 2 more series to mention real quick. The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen and the Prison Healer series, which I'm not sure who that's by. And I don't know if I said the Dawn of Onyx series, but I'm going to mention it again because I am fully intending on picking up that trilogy with the gift cards that I get from my friends. So, the Dawn of Onyx series is by Kate Golden. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that one. Bridge Kingdom is by Danielle L. Jensen, and if you guys know or even care, follow my channel. I read A Fate Inked in Blood earlier this year, and I loved it, and that was my only Danielle L. Jensen book, but I've been wanting to read Bridge Kingdom for quite a while. I actually own the first 2 books because she's actually slowly redoing and re-releasing the newly designed covers, so I've been slowly picking them up. I really do want to read them because I heard the series is really, really good. And then the last one is The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni, and I believe it's a trilogy. But what sucks though is that this trilogy actually, I think it used to be on Kindle Unlimited, so I never picked up the physical books because I was just gonna fully intend on reading it on Kindle. I think only the first one is available on Kindle. Yeah, it's just the first one, so I would be able to read that eventually. But the other 2 I could have sworn were available on Kindle for a little while, and then they ended up not being. So it is what it is. And I wanted to give a little update as to me reading series before the end of the year. And there's actually a series that's going to be kicked off of this list because I ended up starting Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. And I am going to read this duology before the year is over because I'm already halfway through. I just want to tell you guys that I started that. I just didn't want to push it to next year. I just wanted to read it now because it actually was still on my December TBR and my yearly TBR in general, that I didn't want to push it to January with all the series that I want to read next year, and I'm loving it so much. I'm gonna go because I'm really tired, so bye. But yeah, that should be the last 3 series that I mentioned, and at least one of them is being crossed off this list. So bye.